You think this is a game? You don't lie to me in my terminal!
Ma'am.
Quiet! Look at me, every single one of you! You touch that panel again and you're all out!
Ma'am, that's enough. Stay where you are.
Ma'am, step away from the children. The officer's voice was cold, uncertain. 3 terrified kids huddled together near Gate 42, surrounded by police. Travelers stared, whispering. A woman in uniform rushed toward them, her pilot's stripes catching the light. The crowd held its breath. "They're with me," she said, her voice steady but trembling with fury. "They're my children." The gate agent froze. Phones rose. The truth unraveled before everyone's eyes. This is the story of a mother, a pilot, and a moment that shattered silent prejudice. If you're watching, comment your city below and share where this story reached you. It was a bright Saturday afternoon at the Atlanta International Airport. That restless hum of rolling suitcases, coffee machines, and last-minute boarding calls filling the air. The terminal shimmered under fluorescent light, families gathering, strangers brushing past one another, everyone headed somewhere. Near Gate 42, 3 children sat quietly, their identical backpacks neatly tucked under their seats. They were triplets, 12 years old, dressed in matching hoodies with tiny gold wings embroidered on the sleeves. Their names were Aiden, Amira, and Ashton. They weren't causing trouble. They weren't loud or restless. They were waiting, eyes flicking between the departure screen and the long glass window, where they could see a plane taxiing into position. They had done this many times before. Their mother was a pilot, and today she was landing that very plane. Across the gate counter, a woman in a crisp airline uniform noticed them. Her smile faded. Her gaze lingered too long. Something, or perhaps someone, didn't fit her quiet expectations. She leaned slightly toward her colleague, whispering something under her breath. Her eyes darted to the children again. The triplets didn't notice. They were too busy tracking the silver jet coming to a slow stop. Announcements echoed through the terminal, flight numbers, gate changes, apologies for delays, the rhythm of normalcy. But underneath it all, something subtle had shifted. The air felt different around Gate 42. The woman at the counter tapped her phone, her brow furrowed as she glanced at the kids again. "Unattended minors," she muttered. "Better safe than sorry." And with that single decision, a quiet afternoon was set on a path that would soon make headlines, challenge assumptions, and test what people truly see in others. Something was about to happen, something no one in that terminal would forget. The gate agent's call was short, routine, or so she thought. A simple report about 3 unattended minors. Within minutes, the sound of footsteps echoed across the terminal. 2 uniformed officers arrived, their radios crackling, their presence slicing through the ordinary buzz of travel. Heads turned. Conversations hushed. The triplets looked up, startled. The officers scanned the area, eyes landing on the children. "Stay right there," one said sharply, raising a hand. Aiden froze. Amira clutched her backpack tighter. Ashton's small voice trembled as he asked if they'd done something wrong. But no one answered. The officers formed a barrier, their tone clipped, their posture alert, as though the children were a threat rather than 3 waiting kids. Around them, passengers began to whisper. A woman pulled out her phone to record. Another murmured, "They're just sitting there." But the gate agent stood firm behind her counter, her expression tense, justifying herself with a whisper. "Protocol. That's all," the triplets tried to explain. Their mother was landing the plane that very moment. She always told them to wait by Gate 42. They pointed to the jet through the glass, its engines still humming. But the officers didn't listen. "Where are your parents?" one demanded. "Who's responsible for you?" Fear flooded their faces. The youngest began to cry softly, and the terminal grew quieter still. No one moved to intervene. Only the uneasy shuffle of bystanders who knew, deep down, something was wrong. And then, a murmur rippled through the crowd. The cabin door opened. A figure in uniform stepped out, sunlight catching her captain's stripes. Tall, composed, powerful. A black woman with eyes that carried both exhaustion and command. The triplets saw her first. "Mom!" they cried, relief breaking through their fear. The officers turned, confused. The gate agent blinked, uncertain now. The woman walked forward, her steps deliberate, her badge glinting under the harsh airport lights. No one spoke. The terminal was silent except for the steady click of her polished shoes on the floor. Something electric hung in the air, a storm building. Seconds before lightning strikes, and when she reached the crowd, the truth was about to crash down like thunder. She stopped just feet from the officers, her voice cutting through the silence like steel. "Those are my children." The words struck the air, sharp and final. The crowd gasped. Phones lifted higher. The gate agent's color drained from her face. One of the officers lowered his hand, shame flickering behind his eyes. The triplets ran to their mother, clinging to her legs as she wrapped them in her arms. Protective, fierce, unbroken. The pilot straightened, turning her gaze to the gate agent. No shouting, no chaos. Just a silence so heavy it demanded attention. "You called the police on 3 kids sitting quietly," she said softly, almost too calmly, "because you couldn't imagine they might belong to me." No one dared to move. Every eye was on her, the uniform, the authority, the truth of her presence cutting through layers of prejudice and fear. The agent tried to stammer out an excuse, words like procedure and concern tangled in her throat. But nothing could undo the image before them. A black mother, a pilot, a professional, reduced to suspicion in a place she commanded daily. The pilot didn't stay for their apologies. She took her children's hands and walked away, heads high. Each step is a statement. Each glance is a reminder. And in that moment, the airport wasn't just quiet, it was awake. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments! Later that night, the story spread like wildfire across social media. The video from Gate 42 had gone viral. Millions watching, thousands commenting, the same question echoing everywhere. How could this happen? The airline issued an apology. The gate agent was placed on leave. But for Captain Alana Roberts and her children, the scars ran deeper than any public statement could heal. Her kids now understood something she had tried to shield them from. That sometimes, even in uniforms of honor, black faces are doubted before they're seen. Yet, out of pain came power. The image of the pilot standing before the officers became a symbol of grace, strength, and the quiet defiance of those who refuse to be diminished. Schools used the story in lessons. Mothers shared it at dinner tables. And somewhere, a young girl watched that clip and whispered, "I want to be her someday." Because this wasn't just a story about racism at an airport, it was about the blindness of assumption and the courage it takes to confront it. Captain Roberts returned to flying weeks later, her head held higher than ever. And every time she stepped into the cockpit, she carried with her not just passengers, but a message. Sometimes, the person you underestimate is the one keeping you safe above the clouds. How many more moments like this will it take before the world finally learns to see not just color, but humanity? Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more stories that matter.